So a couple people have asked me my opinions on the Brian Goorj ejection from last night, and while we don't get to see and hear like exactly everything that happens, from what we do see and from what I've heard, it seems like a bit of a ridiculous call. So it all stems from this offensive foul late in the third quarter.
This quarter, restricting Perth to only 15 points.
So for starters, this is a really soft offensive foul call. I mean, I think it was just wrong in the end. It seemed like he was set. He gave time and space, all the cliche stuff. And Goorj, we don't see it here, but they end up showing it a bit later. So this was the reaction. Apparently it was the jumping that caused the first tech, which is a ridiculous call. And then the second one was apparently after the first tech, he used one of the magic words. He swore towards or at the ref, which, look, technically is the correct call. But after you've given a technical foul, most officials will give a leeway of, the next 30 seconds or so. We'll just walk away. But the official had to stand right next to Goorj as the tech free throw was being shot. So definitely a quick trigger on the first tech. And then after that first precedent has been set, you kind of have to give the second. I don't think the first one should have been called. I think the second one might have been a little bit soft. But unfortunately, it set the standard for the rest of the game. And I say unfortunately because in the fourth quarter, John really got a tech foul for this play.
Xavier Cooks off the mark. Tim Suarez for three. No, but Paul Quall wins possession.
Now look, he yelled right next to the official, and maybe he said one of the magic words, we don't know. But that's the type of play that wouldn't always get a technical foul. It definitely deserved a warning, but because the soft tech was called earlier in the game, you have to then maintain that standard and give the tech to John Riley. Another interesting thing that took a little bit to notice was that immediately following the ejection, it's Bill Tomlinson, assistant coach for the Sydney Kings, who's manning the sidelines, standing up, kind of directing traffic. But coming out of the three-quarter time break, we see referee Vaughn Mabry going over to the Sydney Kings bench. Bill Tomlinson sits down, and it's Andrew Bogut that stands up and then coaches for the rest of the game from the sidelines. So what I'm assuming happened is that Andrew Bogut was listed first on the score sheet and is therefore listed as the lead or first assistant coach. If the head coach gets ejected, it has to then be the first assistant coach who is now the acting head coach, the only one that can stand up, the one that the officials will communicate directly with.